Buongiorno and welcome to the third edition of Gazzetta dello Wrexham, a feature so popular we did 2 of them 6 years ago and then stopped. But now we're back to review the papers about Wrexham and the conference, and we'll be as regular as Joss Miebi's Saturday night trips to France. We're trying to evoke an Italian pavement cafe atmosphere here in Rowstocklin, but of course Starbucks in Rowstocklin has got a certain cachet in Wrexham's history. If you come here at a full moon, they reckon at midnight you can hear Glenn Little and Rob Ogilvy arguing over a non-fat latte. Anyway, Alex and Carl are here with me, and we're going to have a look at some of the papers, starting off with possibly the best headline ever written about Wrexham. I'm Connor scores soon. Love that, don't we?
Yeah.
Fans.
Fabulous. It's lovely.
It goes on further because the first quote starts off with goals wise, touch wood, 4 words only normally seen together, and one of those online tests to see if you're a robot or not. But I don't know, Conor Jennings, no goals yet, not playing up front. What do you reckon? Where's it going to go for him?
I think it's difficult for Connor. He's been deployed on the wide position of a front 3, which he's perhaps not used to. We spoke to him pre-season, Carl and myself, at the real game, and he says it is a position that he's played before, but I think we saw last season, especially for Macclesfield, he was utilised in a central role. Now, against Nuneaton on Saturday, when Durrell was taken off for Bailey Jones went on the right hand side where Jennings had been playing, and Jennings dropped behind Louis Moll. I think he played a lot better when he was dropped in a more central position. He had that chance where Bailey Jones spread it across and unfortunately fired it straight at the keeper. But I think it is a difficult one because obviously you want to play Moll, you want to play Bishop, and you want to play Jennings in that front 3, but then you've got York as well. It's difficult because his best position is central, so it's for Wilkin to try and find out how he's going to use this quartet, if you like, of quality attackers.
He ends up playing behind the strike, doesn't he? The last 20 minutes of every game, and Elliot Durrell gets his little rest. So I mean, is that maybe something we should be doing from the start?
Maybe. It's happened every game, hasn't it? The same substitution, 3 games so far in the season, around the same time. Who knows? I think that's probably his best position. He said he wasn't a fan of tracking back. It was something he'd have to discipline himself to do. So maybe, central position may be where he should be starting.
And I'd be better off with Durrell behind the striker anyway.
Well, yeah, I mean, we spoke to Elliot on Saturday, and we asked him about the central position he played in the whole. He said that is his position. You know, when he first joined, we saw him deployed on the right hand side.
He can cross the ball.
He can cross the ball. He can. You know, this is the thing. I spoke to you a lot, I know, on a couple of the away trips. In the Conference North, he was taking players on for fun. That goal against Bradford, PA, where he was a YouTube sensation, but it's a different level at the conference. And we talked about his strengths, and crossing is definitely his strength. But yeah, you know, it is a difficult one. He might have to adapt to playing in a wider position where he can utilise this amazing crossing ability that he's got. Because for me, he's definitely the best set piece taker, apart from Keats maybe, that we've got in the side.
Well, I think there's a run and run.
Yeah.
The debate about Jennings. I think so.
I think he's Connor score soon anyway.
Oh, that's very nice. It's a beautiful headline, isn't it? You know? I just think there's so many puns in him. I hope it runs and runs. I'm waiting for him to get sent off and they'll say Jen behaving badly. That's in there. Right, on to the goalkeeper situation. There's Andy Coughlin surprisingly breaking into his native Spanish halfway through the sentence to say I'm numero uno. But who is numero uno, senor?
Well, it's a tough one, isn't it? We got Dan Bachmann doing well. He's done everything right first couple of games. All right, he conceded 3 against Gateshead, but Gateshead had Marcus Maddison, and that was the difference between the teams that night. So yeah, it's going to be a really difficult decision for Kevin Wilkin to pick the goalkeeper tomorrow.
I feel sorry for Bachmann in a way. You know, he's conceded a dubious goal against Dartford. You were there, Mark, and probably can talk about that more than Carl and myself.
I couldn't, because the press box was in the front row. I was the wrong side of the halfway line. The press box at the front row, lovely grounds, but you've got very little chance of seeing what's happening, you know, in the 6-yard box on the far side.
Yeah, and then again, as Carl said, the Gateshead game, mightily unlucky. I don't think he was at fault for any of the goals, and then of course he gets a knock on the head and taken to hospital to be looked at, and is unavailable for that game. But he is unlucky, but you know, his loss is Coughlin's gain. Coughlin's come in, a lot of weight on his shoulders, perhaps. You know, might be feeling a bit aggrieved that he hasn't started the season and the new boy's come in and started straight away. But excuse the pun, but he's taking it with both hands. Do you want to drop a goalkeeper who's just kept a clean sheet, the first clean sheet of the season? I'm not so sure.
He's the man in possession, isn't he? After all, is Wilkin going to hope that maybe Bachmann, after the kick in the head, has forgotten that he's first choice?
I think that's his get out of jail card, isn't it? That's the only thing he's got going for him, really, to make that decision. But no, in fairness, Coughlin didn't have a lot to do against Dartford, Nuneaton either. But that one time he was called upon, the one-handed save, brilliant. It was vintage Coughlin. And in all honesty, the major thing that people say about him is that he doesn't come out and command the box. Well, he did on Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see whether he's picked tomorrow, whether he's first choice and happy, or whether it's Bachmann and sobbing. Anyway, moving on now to the Daily Post, which has basically followed a theme that everybody seems to be following. This seems to be the sentence du jour at the moment. Because Wrexham, hang on, this is the wrong post, I think. I beg your pardon. This is one about loans, isn't it? We'll leave that for a second on the back burner. Wrexham apparently are a work in progress. We've been told this by everybody. Neil Ashton told Leela yesterday, Wrexham are a work in progress. Terrace talked today, Wrexham are a work in progress. And as well today in the Post, there was another story talking about how we're nowhere near the finished articles. So is that the case? We've got 2 wins out of 3 already. Are we really still this team in formation?
As far as the starting 11 goes and the 2 injured players, no, we're probably quite polished. We're a good side and dangerous. But the bench, yeah, that is a work in progress because it's a youthful bench. Now, that might come off, it might not, as the season goes on, who knows, but it seems quite keen to bring people in to add a bit of experience in that area.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, the main discussion, certainly between us 3 at the moment, is the bench, the very youthful looking bench, which, you know, I understand for most Wrexham fans as well. They look at that bench and it might not be as inspired as they perhaps want to be, and Wilkins talks about getting some experience in and put it on the bench. But you look who is on that bench: Theo Bailey-Jones, who is brought on to maximum effect in quite a few games, and you know, I think it was 23 or 24 games he played for us last season. And Rob Evans as well, who, you know, is, yes, he's young, but I don't think he looks out of place in a conference midfield. Certainly he shone at times last season, and of course, you know, it is a big feat for him to have captained the club last season as well. So yeah, it is a youthful side, but you've got players there that have played 20 plus games in the conference.
There's still children, or there's older benches in Acton Park. It's a bit of danger, isn't it? I think, you know, the squad looks so thin, and going on to the next story as well, you know, loaning players out left, right and centre as well. There's John Royal going off to Colwyn Bay. There's talk of other players in the pipeline as well. Sending these young lads out, but you know, they're part of the squad. There's only 6 players in our squad who've got over 100 appearances in senior football. The thinness of the squad's scary, and I don't know, are we able to afford to loan players out in that case?
I think so. I think it frees up not just some space, but maybe a bit of wages as well. I'm not sure the ins and outs of the deals, but I presume, and I'm under the impression that the reason that Royal and Smith and even Ross Weaver today has joined Prestatyn on loan, I'm presuming that the clubs that they've gone on loan to will be paying their wages, or at least part of the wages, which in turn frees up a bit more money for Wilkin to spend either on loan players, as he has discussed, short-term loans he's talked about, or whether, you know, we do get someone in on a free and pay them for maybe 6 months or just until the end of the season. So
does this work as a business model? You know, you release the wages on a short-term basis of a couple of kids. Can you really bring anything in, you know, because of the financial advantage you've gained from doing those deals? Or not much, I'd have thought.
I wouldn't have thought there'd be much. There might be scope to bring maybe 1, 2 players. We might be looking at a player that's coming towards the end of the career. I don't think these loan signings, or people that will come in between now and whenever we bring these players in, will set the world on fire as far as Wrexham fans' thoughts are concerned. They'll be thinking, well, that's not what we were expecting. I think everyone's expecting these world beaters, but they will be literally plodders that will be there to add a bit of experience.
I think you've hit on the head. I think what he's looking for is someone who, because he's talked about bringing in players on the bench. Now, if that doesn't sound to me like he's going to bring in someone who, like Carl says, is going to set the world alight and banging goals left, right and centre. It's going to be someone who is maybe a bit of a dressing room character, who has experience.
Someone like Glenn Little.
Well,
he was here once.
Literally here.
But yeah, it's someone who has been there before, possibly someone who's been promoted or at least got to playoffs before, and who can just sort of pass on his experience to the younger players and be a bit of a voice in the dressing room.
So watch out for the second coming of Richard Hope, everybody. It's just around the corner. We can't do a review of the paper without looking at the non-league paper. Venerable organ that it is. If only to point out that we want to regularly have a good look at the headlines. Now the sub-editors of the non-league paper, my word, they get earn their corn. Sort of quality. This is my personal favourite worst pun, because they're utterly puntastic. Is Kidderminster with Kyle Storer scoring the only goal. Quickfire Kiddie have much more in Storer. Oh, it's beautiful. Please, find your own and email them into somebody who wants to look at them. I'm not that person. Although there is actually one which I think might just be the greatest headline of all time, to be fair. Altrincham and Bristol Rovers trapped in a McChrystal malaise, one for the teenagers there. Absolutely unbelievable. So you have to keep an eye, I think, on these horrific headlines. I'm not sure that's on the line between idiocy and genius, though. I'm not totally sure about that one.
Trying to fit in a pun where it perhaps doesn't fit.
Possibly not. The best part of it, though, is in the letters page. Perfect start, another nice pun for the connoisseurs. After the struggle of last season and back-to-back defeats at the start of this, many people will already be looking at Chester as relegation certainties. We certainly wouldn't do that. But cast your minds back 2 seasons and the start that our manager Steve Burr had with his former club Kidderminster. Without a win in their opening 10 games, Burr's side roared back to finish second in the conference, just missing out on the title on the very last day. So a clear parallel there between those situations. I'd like to point out that Hyde also didn't win any of their first 10 matches last season. So Chester for promotion, chaps. Obviously, I think that the runes have spoken. The entrails are shouting in our ears.
Well, yeah, quite obviously. I mean, yeah, Mr. Bevan there, he's entitled to his opinion. Football's about opinions, and yeah, that's if that's what he wants to draw a comparison. It's a bit of clutching at straws, in my opinion. I mean, they went down last season. I think they quite rightly went down. Rivalry aside, against us, they had 2 good games. But looking at their clips on various outlets that were available to us to watch, I mean, they didn't look too good. And I should suspect they'll be in a similar position this year.
I think they've got a few decent players. I like the look of John Rooney. I think he's a fantastic player.
Yeah,
I think we could look on John Rooney as a bit of envy as Wrexham, because I think he really does pull the strings.
He trained for us as well.
He did.
And,
so that's one that Chester's game where we lost, basically. But yeah, I think they could struggle. They've signed Chris Iwelumo, which whichever way you want to look at that, he did score against Braintree at the weekend in Chester's first win, so it's a bit of experience there for them as well. But they did go down, and they deservedly went down. Not to say it as the rivalry thing, but they did deservedly go down because they were one of the bottom 4 teams. But they've been reprieved, and fair play to them for being reprieved, and they just got to forget the whole relegation thing and kick on now. And Burr might have had a bit of time to rebuild his team, and instead of preparing for Conference North, he's prepared for the conference now. So 3 games is early, 2 losses at the start. You can't really look at that, but they look like they might be trying to turn things around now with winning against Braintree.
Well, speaking of Rooney, probably a sentence we won't get to say very often on a Gazzetta dello Wrexham. And speaking also of an ex-Chester player, we've got a nice little story in the leader which just smells slightly of desperation. I suspect this idea was concocted last season, and then things went a bit pear-shaped, because they're very keenly following Dave Artell's progress with Gibraltar. So Owen, Zola, Rooney, now Polish ace Lewandowski is on Dave Artell's hit list. So Dave Artell will be lining up against Poland for Gibraltar, we hope. He played full 90 for the last 2 matches, struggled to get into a side for the previous 2. They'll be playing in the spectacular Victoria Stadium, although it should be pointed out the one previous time they played there, they attracted a spectacular 350 fans there. But it's a cute story. It's a shame perhaps that he's moved on and the leader are chasing after somebody who's left, but nonetheless it's nice thought to think of Dave Artell, international footballer, isn't it?
Especially as it's a Welsh Premier player. I don't think there's many Welsh Premier players that are international players either at the moment. So it is a good story. But yeah, like you say, I think they had it prepared maybe last year, didn't really have a chance to run it, and unfortunately brought it out when Big Dave's moved on to Bala.
Yeah, he's the big rock at the back for Gibraltar. I could work for the non-league paper. It's a nice chap, nice to see him do well, but when you think of the struggles he had with turning or running, international football could ask a few questions. Aren't Germany in that group as well?
Yeah, I think he might get found out a little bit on a few occasions, but I'm sure Dave will say the same. You know, he knows he's coming towards the end of his career as a footballer. He's making plans with a youth coach at Crewe. When we were playing Bala, he certainly came in a Crewe training top and stuff. So, but again, against our kids at Bala, he scored a wonderful header. So there's you know, he did have struggles with Wrexham as well, but we won't forget that goal he scored in the playoffs. And Kidderminster certainly won't forget it, because he shouldn't have been playing.
And the corner flag, won't remember that pretty well as well. So good luck to him anyway in his international career. Never thought I'd say that, but fair dues to him. Right, well, that wraps up, I think, unless there's anything else we want to lob into the mix.
No, I think we put people through their miseries enough now. Yeah. We'll just go off and relax and enjoy ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So join us next week for another edition. And from us now, it's ciao.